Dear students of class 10, welcome to you all. Now, I like to discuss today the rise of nationalism in Europe. Already I discussed about the nationalism in earlier. However, in the beginning of the chapter, we will find an artist's drawing. The question is that who was Frederick Sérieux? He was the artist, and what was his utopian vision? In 1848, Frederick Sérieux, a French artist, has drawn 4 paintings on the democratic world and social republic. We see that among the 4 paintings, the first painting shows the men and women of America and Europe. They formed a queue and they are marching forward in a train and offering their homage to Statue of Liberty. The French artist, who belonged to the revolutionary period, French Revolution, personified liberty as female figure. So here we see she is holding a torch of enlightenment and rights of men of the people in one hand. So, torch of enlightenment in one hand and rights of, or charters of the rights of man in another hand. And on the foreground, before the image, lies the scattered remains of the fragments of or shattered remains of the fragments of absolutist monarchs. We see that this is the painting of Frederick Sérieux. So, why we call it utopian vision? Why do we call it utopian? Because it is actually, utopian vision means it is idealistic in nature. It is unlikely to exist in the world. That is why it is called utopian. We see that the different groups of men or peoples of different countries are grouped together or formed into a nation, they are carrying national flag and also different types of they actually use different types of national dress, and thus we see that the procession was led by the countries of United States, Switzerland, France, Germany, and also it was followed by the Germans were followed by the Austrian people, Lombardy, and also Hungary, Austria, Russia, Poland, England. Now, in the picture, there is a scene also that from above the heaven, Jesus Christ, saints and the angels gazed upon the scene. They were symbolized, the artist had used them, or they were symbolized as to show the fraternity among the nations, to symbolize the fraternity among the nations of the world. That is the thing. Next we see that the emergence of the nation state. We see During the 19th century, nationalism emerged as a force which brought sweeping changes in the political and mental world of the people. And now, as a result, nation states emerged in place of multinational dynastic empires of Europe. A nation state, what is a nation state? A nation state is one in which the people came to develop, a common identity and shared history or descent. We see that this commonness did not exist from time immemorial. It was forced through the struggles which was organized by the common people or leaders. So, this is how we can explain the nation state. Now, what were the steps taken by the French revolutionaries? You know that the French Revolution and the nation is our topic, and what steps taken by the French revolutionaries to create a sense of collective identity among the French people. We see that French revolutionaries introduced several measures and practices to create a sense of common identity or collective identity among the French people. The idea of la patrie, that is fatherland, and le citoyen, was introduced among them. We see that it was a new French tricolor flag was adopted in place of pretty old or monarchical flag or royal flag. A States General was named National Assembly. But moreover, we see that another important change which was made, that is, all manorial dues were abolished. The uniform laws were introduced, uniform weights and measures were introduced, and similarly I may mention the dialects which was prevalent in France were discouraged. French was adopted as the main language of the French people or French nation. We see that in this way and many other similar steps were taken by the French revolutionaries to create collective identity among the French people. Now, what was the main aim of the French revolutionaries? The French revolutionaries declared it was the mission and destiny of the French nation to liberate the people of Europe from despotism. Now, what was the Jacobin Club and what were activities and campaigns? We have already in class 9 discussed the Jacobin Club was established by Maximilian Robespierre during the Reign of Terror. They are very radical, adopted many radical measures. So, we know when the ideas of French Revolution when the French Revolution occurred in 1789, the news reached in different countries of Europe, particularly in different countries, and now they decided to establish, particularly the educated middle class students decided to set up Jacobin clubs, and the members of the Jacobin club, their activities and campaigns which helped to the spread of nationalism abroad. It also inspired the French armies to move into the Holland, Belgium, Switzerland and Italy, etc., where they spread the idea of nationalism. During the Revolutionary Wars in France, nationalism also spread abroad. Now, Napoleon's administrative measures. We know that Napoleon became consul in the year 1793. We see that Napoleon, after became the consul in 1793, he became the emperor of France. And when he became the emperor of France, he said that he destroyed democracy. Although he adopted in his administrative reforms, he adopted several principles or several ideas which brought about great change in the administrative field. He had incorporated revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. Now, this is how we see that what measures he adopted as a reformer. Napoleon, in the beginning I may say that it is the most important thing is that Napoleon is a civil code of 1804. It was also known as Napoleonic Code. It abolished the privileges enjoyed by birth by the feudal lords or nobility. It also secured the right to property and equal rights. Also, it ensured equal rights for all men. So, similarly, we may mention here the similar uniform weights and measures were introduced. The trade and commerce for the encouragement of trade and commerce. Uniform laws were introduced. Manually, Napoleon also abolished the feudal system. He also freed the peasants from manorial dues and serfdom. Also, transport and communication system was improved, and thus we see that a new class of businessmen arose, artisans, businessmen, and they enjoyed new freedom. And we see that the businessmen now came to realize that uniform laws, uniform or standardized weights and measures, and common national currency which would facilitate the trade and commerce, the exchange of goods and movement of the trade and commerce from one region to another region. So, that's why these are called revolutionary principles. Next, we see that the reaction of the local people to French rule. We see that when the Napoleon after the French Revolution, the Napoleon's army moved in different places of Europe. In many places, like Holland, Belgium and many cities, Brussels, Warsaw, Milan, Mainz, they are, you see that in the beginning the reaction was mixed. In many places they are welcomed as harbingers of liberty, but soon it turned into hostility, because we see that gradually the French rule, which was established in different countries of Europe, became despotic, because the administrative changes which I mentioned here, they are not accompanied by political freedom. They were not accompanied by political freedom. Naturally, the people reacted, revolted against the French rule. Now, the Habsburg Empire that ruled over Austria-Hungary, was the patchwork of many different regions and people. When at that time there was no nation state. In place of nation state, there is a multi-national dynastic empires which arose or emerged in Europe. So, similarly, the Habsburg Empire in Austria-Hungary region, we see that there are many regions, namely Austria, Sudetenland and Tyrol and many other regions where the different peoples lived. Bohemian people who were actually aristocratic class spoke in German language. In Lombardy, that is in Italy, the people used to speak Italian language or Italian speaking people. In Galicia, people used to speak Polish language, and many other places, different types of people, different types of races, different regions. And see that in this way the Slovaks and the Croats, Romania and many other Romans or Romanians, we see that the many other places, we see that their entire country was divided. So, there was no unity, no political unity among them. The only bond of unity, only tie of unity existed at that time was the common allegiance to the emperor. There was no unity, political unity among the different races or regions. Next, we see that the emergence of aristocracy and the new middle class. First, I tell about the emergence of aristocracy. Socially and politically, a dominant landed aristocracy arose at the time in the Eastern and Central Europe. They used to speak French, and as a way of diplomacy, and they maintained their relations among them. The aristocratic people maintained their ties, marital ties. They actually established the marital ties among them, but numerically they are very small in number, and they had estates in the countryside, townhouses. Whatever it is, the bulk of the population, we must remember, peasantry. Next, we see the new middle class in Europe. This new middle class, we know that emerged at that time. It was as a result of industrial revolution and trade and commerce. Their main activities, the middle class people became very prosperous as a result of trade and commerce and after the industrial revolution. We know industrialization began in Western Europe and parts of Central Europe. In Western Europe and parts of Central Europe, industrialization began and trade and commerce, began, and thus we see a new middle class emerge. And it is after the industrial revolution began in England in the 18th century, middle of the 18th century, and also we know that the industrial revolution began in England in the middle of the 18th century. It also spread to France and Germany in the 19th century. Gradually, we see that as a result of industrial revolution, a new working class population emerged, and also middle class people, businessmen, merchants, different professionals. And now this new middle class people began to believe in liberalism. They believed in freedom and political freedom of the people. Thus, we see that already I have discussed that already the Napoleon abolished the privileges of the nobility by Napoleon, the Code of Napoleon, and so we see that a new era began with the emergence of new middle class. We shall discuss it later what was the role of the new middle class in Europe. Thank you all.